Welcome, Solara here. I hope you guys are doing well today. I just thought I'd come on here and I'd do a reading. It's been a few days since I've been on here. I did a live, I think the last time I was on, I think last weekend. And so I wanted to come on here and do a reading because lots has happened in that week. It feels like it was like yesterday, but this is the nature of time right now, and that's one of the messages that is definitely coming through, is that many of us have really done a lot of timeline jumping, and right now you are, and this is always the case this time of the year especially, things become a little bit more pronounced when it comes to timeline jumping because of the energies of the 888 portal and what Cancer, Leo, and Virgo season allow us to do within our own emotional bodies. So your emotional bodies are your waters. It's the element of water. It's the element that it's the part of you that connects you with the waters, and water is what connects every single realm and dimension, which is why you can tune into other realities through your intuition, your imagination. It's through the waters that you're able to do that. So when you are recalibrating your waters, as Cancer, Leo, and Virgo help us to do, you are actually producing an environment that is conducive to what it is you're going to birth. So that's part of the significance of the 888 portal. So there's always a very beautiful opportunity to timeline jump magnanimously during Cancer, Leo, and Virgo seasons. For that reason, it's not just those seasons that you can timeline jump. It's just that you have certain advantages for as long as you are or have done the work. And the work never really ends, right? of healing your emotional body, or some practitioners call it your pain body, right? So right now it feels like we're at this juncture collectively where we are anchoring in timelines. And you'll know that this is for you, or you're kind of vibing with this, if everything has felt very like you've stepped into like a twilight zone this week, you could say, where everything seemed to be unsettled. So when you're shifting timelines, you will be pulled into a vortex of chaos in order to jump to wherever you're going to go. And based upon how you ride that chaotic energy, when the elevator doors open, because elevators are time capsules, when those doors open will determine where you are based upon the frequency you've connected with. So in other words, when life gets chaotic and everything gets fuzzy, if you fear that you're falling, if you fear that you are entering into an older timeline, the chances of you entering into an older timeline are increased because you're using your consciousness to direct your energy towards that older state. However, if you know that you are timeline jumping and that the chaos is just the interference that is necessary, that you've stepped into a vortex of chaos in order to either ascend or descend, depending on what it is that you are directing your own mental and emotional energy towards, then you are able to align your mind and your heart with where it is you want to go. And this is where and how you learn to drive your chariot, drive your light body. This is why the Chariot card is Cancerian energy. So in Leo season, you go through a lot of pushing and testing to see if you are able to rise into the bravery and the courage that is necessary for you to jump into alignment with who you are. Leo is the sign of the zodiac that helps you. It's very self-centered, self-oriented. So is Aries. But Aries is very self-oriented in terms of getting you aligned with your divine mind. And Leo is very self-oriented in terms of getting you aligned with your divine heart. Okay? So, yes, let's get into the cards. Before I do that, I want to take a moment to welcome you all. Thank you for being here. Welcome if you're visiting me for the first time. Welcome if you're returning. Welcome if you've been rolling with me from the beginning. A big shout out to my day ones, or those people who joined me around that time, like 2 years ago. I love you guys. Thank you for all the ways that you love and support me. I really do appreciate you. what did I want to say? I do have a workshop happening tomorrow on the 17th of August, Saturday. It's occurring at 4 p.m. UK time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's all about alchemizing anger and learning how to utilize the power of your shadow as your protector. That's how you're designed. The reason why we are energy harvested is because we don't know how to utilize our shadow energies to create the boundaries that are necessary to repel, reject, renounce, push out those things that would seek to siphon us, because we were taught very purposely by the false matrix to shame that part of ourselves, to repress it, and to give it away. And this is what, when they open up their spiritual black market, ding, 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 in Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius season especially is when things get hot on the spiritual black market. This is what they are trying to, one of the things that they are bartering for, your shadow. They want your shadow because then they use your shadow to attack you, to get your light, because your light energy, your life force, they use your own shadow to scare you out of your truth, because the truth of the matter is the thing that you are afraid of the most is actually you. It's actually your reflection. We won't get into all of that now, but if you're interested, there are still slots available. I will post that information in the description box and the comment section below. I will be hosting that session, that group session, tomorrow, 17th of August, and I will come back next Saturday and do it again on the 24th of August. I know August tends to be a slow month anyway. For me, I'm a homeschooling mama, so August I like to go, go, go. You know, I took a week off, but then I like to go, 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 and get to experience as much as I can with the community, you know, with what it is I have to share with you guys, because come September, you know, I have to renegotiate my time around, you know, unschooling. So this year is going to be a little bit different. We'll see how it works out. I think I'm still going to keep my midweek sessions because they seem to be popular. They seem to be helping you guys a lot, and a lot of progress is being made, and I'm just so proud of you. You know, those of you who I get to meet in group, it's just such a pleasure to see your progress, especially those of you who keep coming back. And for those of you I don't get to see, that's fine also. I'm still proud of you and all the progress you're making. But either way, I do have that session coming up tomorrow. I have a whole bunch of other events happening in August. All of that's on the community board. I will also post it in the description box below. If you would like to join me over on Substack, those daily alchemy messages that you get every single day on the community board, they are an extension of my Substack. I also do what I call the sunrise salutations in both audio and written messages 5 days a week, as well as other things over on the Substack. So if you would like to join me over there, or if you would like to support me on a monthly basis just because you like what I do and that's what makes sense to you to do, you can do that for me over on Substack. If you join me, you also get a free monthly Q&A with me. So every month I have a Substack group that's very specific for the patrons. So right now I have a special until September 22nd. It's 33% off monthly subscriptions, so that equates less than $10 a month to get all of this information plus one, you know, Q&A with me every month. And I think I forget how much it is in the year. I think it's still less than $100 for the whole year if you want to commit to an annual subscription. So that offer is good until September the 22nd, so please avail yourself. If you sign up monthly, that price is locked in for the next year. You sign up annually, it's locked in for good. So yes, those are all the announcements. We're going to get into the cards now. I'm just going to take a moment, breathe, and see where I want to go tonight in terms of cards. I feel like I'm being called to go into the Sirius Starseed Oracle. I get funny with this deck only because it's a deck that is a little bit non-traditional. It's very difficult to, it's also very difficult to shuffle, but we'll go with it. We'll go with it. We'll see. Let's see. those of you tarot heads that are interested, this deck is called the Syrian Starseed Tarot. It's by Patricia Corey and Alyssa Bartha. So that's it. Patricia Corey and Alyssa Bartha. I know that when I put the cards up or books that it comes out in its mirror image, so I apologize for that. But for me, I read things back to front also. It's a thing I've always done since I was a kid. I like to read words backwards. So, and I like to sound them out like it's a different language too, even if I just do it in my head. It's just something I've been doing since I was a kid. That and I used to love adding up numbers of cars as they sped past as quickly as I could when I was a child. So it's funny how little habits like that, you know, can tell you a lot about your galactic origins for one thing, but it can also tell you a lot about, you know, those little things you do in childhood later on can have resonance in your adult life. So I sucked at math in school. But I was always really good at fucking mental arithmetic. Funny. I was feeling the Luna card. I thought I saw it originally and I didn't, and now it's here. So we have at the bottom of the deck the number 18 card of the deck. This is Luna. Luna, 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 the moon. Okay? So we of course have the full moon in Aquarius happening on Monday. As I lift up Luna, we do have the Master of Chalices. Okay, the Master of Chalices is the King of Cups. Okay, we have the King of Cups coming up. But it didn't actually come out. What came out is Alchemy. So that's Sagittarius energy. That's the number 14 card of the deck. So we've got, which is Temperance in other tarot decks. So we've got Alchemy. And we've got the Moon. I'm just going to take those two out. So the messages I've been getting around the full moon in Aquarius coming up on Monday is, and I haven't actually yet dived into the chart and taken a dive into the chart, and I will do that. And for those of you who know me, you'll know that I will do the full moon tarot astrology ascension report. I will go into that chart in full and channel and do my thing on my other channel, Solar Rises. So stay tuned for that message. There will be a full comprehensive breakdown, as always, on the full moon in Aquarius, as well as, you know, my regular collaboration with Deanie Peachel of the Starfire Codes, if you're on Substack. So I say all of that because I have not looked properly at the chart yet. So I don't know fully, but I know the messages I've been getting around this full moon in Aquarius. And for one thing, I know it's happening at 27 degrees, and 27 is a degree of Gemini. And this is very interesting to me because we are just 2 days out of the Mars and Jupiter conjunction in Gemini that occurred at 16 degrees, which in astrology is a degree of Cancer, and in tarot it's connected to the Tower. Okay? So Mars is making his way through Gemini right now, and I love it when Mars is in Gemini. I love it when Mars moves through Gemini. I think the last time Mars was moving through Gemini that I can recall was in 2022. Okay, and I think it was around this time too. Okay, so 2022 timelines are back online right now. I've already been feeling that a lot this year, and I've already shared that with you guys. 2022 and 2020 timelines, a lot of that's returning. Why? Because in those 2 years, they really fucked with our timelines as a collective. They really fucked with our timelines and in terms of where it is that we should have been going. Okay, and this happened to us. We felt it on a personal level, but please understand and overstand it was a collective thing. Even if it was something that came at you through a person you know, through a group, through a coven, through a society, through people pledging, initiations, family, all of this shit that we know that we're all breaking free of or broken the fuck out of, right? Those years were key times where you began to touch your higher timelines, and then you were snatched out of them again. Okay? And that was for the purpose of harvesting you all the more. But when they did that, all they managed to do was reveal their hand even more, reveal what it was that they've always been doing. And this was an act of desperation, just so you know. The more desperate they became to get a hold of your narrative, to get a hold of your energy, the more reckless they became, and they still are. Like right now, the shit that is happening for them to get a bite, to get a taste, to get a sip, however you want to look at it, it's just cray-cray. You know, it's crazy, and it's desperate. And so 2020 and 2022, we were pulled out of those timelines. And so the reason why many of you might be feeling those timelines are open again is because you are re-entering where you should have been at that time. You are getting back what it was that was taken from you through the timeline fuckery. And please don't despair. I tell people this all the time. Don't worry about timeline fuckery. Don't worry about what you think you've lost, because you will get back everything and more. And if you are able to let go of this idea of loss and face the fact that everything's coming back to you with more, you will arrive exactly where you were supposed to be had you not been timeline fucked. True story. Okay, so this full moon in Aquarius is very much surrounding destiny. So Aquarius in the tarot is the star card, right? It's the card of divine alignment. If the tracking messed up on this, I apologize. I don't know if it did or not, but I know on my end as I record, there was a moment of everything freezing just now. So if it did, I apologize, but y'all who hang out with me by now know I don't pause. I don't stop and start again, because I don't roll like that. I couldn't give a fuck if these energies want to mess around. Okay, so the star card is Aquarius energy, and it deals with divine alignment, what occurs when you come into divine alignment, and therefore all the planets and the energies they start to support you. Okay, so the planets, you know, the constellations, the zodiac wheel, everything is here to support your evolution and your ascension. And the only time those things actually, quote unquote, work against you is actually when you're working against yourself, because you are the planets, you are the you are the all also. Everything is a reflection of you that you see externally, and you hold all of those things internally. So the only way something can work against you is if somewhere internally you're working against yourself. And most of the time when we're working against ourselves, it's not a conscious thing, or we've opened ourselves up to other energies that are running our consciousness and we don't even realize it. And so we're attacking ourselves, we're living in self-rejection, self-betrayal, etc. And when we are living in that way, then the energies externally will be living against us too. So this full moon in Aquarius is Leo's sister sign. And like I said, Leo is very concerned with you being true to self, being true to your own heart, following your own heart. And it's really important to get a hold of that through Leo energy, so that you can maximize the power of Aquarius energy, 2144. Excuse me. You can maximize the power of Aquarius energy, and Aquarius energy is here to help you be yourself in the collective without having to water yourself down, dilute yourself, dim yourself. It's here to help you shine your light and to be exactly who it is you came here to be. Because when you do that, you are actually harmonizing the earth. You're harmonizing the grids every time you make a choice to honor your true self and to let go of any false persona that other beings are trying to place upon you or that you have adopted in order to survive. Okay, so right now through the full moon in Aquarius that's coming up on Monday, it's all about the removal, and Mars in Gemini is this too, the clearing out of the mind control programs that have had you living away from yourself and out of alignment and therefore unable to manifest your destiny on earth as it is in the heavens. So Mars in Gemini is already at war fighting for your right to your own divine mind, because none of us have had a hold of our own minds. We might have thought we did, but we haven't, and we still don't in full. This is what the work of ascension is. Everything that trapped us has trapped us in layers. And every time you break free from another layer, you go higher. Your thinking becomes more expanded. You're able to connect with wider emotions when it comes to how you relate to yourself and to others and the world. Okay, that's how you're breaking past the restrictions that once limited your heart and your mind. But we're not there yet. You might have been here once upon a time and you're here now, but you're infinite. And we haven't broken the infinite wall. And the way I know we haven't done that is because when we break that wall into the infinite truth of who we are, the multidimensional reality of who we actually are, then we usher back onto the planet all of our gifts, meaning that we are telekinetic, we are, what's the one where you can read minds, connect with minds, telepathic. We are all of these things. Everything that we have put our trust into external forms of technology to do, we do without those things. In fact, they stole that information to create the external technology that they sell back to us and make us ooh and ah about it every time a new version of it drops, not realizing that the only reason they're able to connect with that technology is through the harvesting of us, right? So when we are in our infinite nature, we can close our eyes and say, I want to teleport to, I don't know, the Bermuda Triangle. And close your eyes, feel, think about it, you're there. Okay, you're able to do that. I'm able to do that. We might not have figured it out yet because we're still working past all the boundaries and the barriers that have told us we can't. But once we push past that, then we push past the collective boundaries on the earth that have stopped us from doing that too. And that's what Mars in Gemini is fighting. So the Gemini energy in the tarot, in the minor arcana, is 8, 9, and 10 of swords. That's when you are, either totally fucked in your mind to the point where you're under the control and the consciousness of other beings and energies. And either you're going to get so fucking fed up that you're going to break the fuck out of it, or you're going to just succumb to it again, or you're going to succumb to misery. Some people don't even care about how mind controlled they are. And this is how you know you're dealing with a lower consciousness. Not that they're less than you, just a lower consciousness, meaning that they have not evolved quite yet into the soul wisdom that you have. But they're not less than you. Once upon a time, you were there too. I was there too, right? So lower consciousnesses don't feel the struggle of the mind control because they haven't, the way I like to compare it to is like if you are 12 years old and you're in, I don't know, is it 7th or 8th grade in the States? You're in 7th grade. You're not going to feel like you're suffering in the 7th grade with your peers. I mean, yeah, maybe with the work and all that, but I mean, in terms of where you're supposed to be, that's where you're supposed to be. You're with your friends, you're all kind of learning at the same level, etc., etc., okay? If all of your friends graduate from 7th grade and you get stuck in 7th grade, and then the younger kids come in, and then they bypass you, they finish graduating, and you're still stuck in 7th grade, now you're 14 years old, and that keeps on happening year after year after year until your ass is sitting in 7th grade and you're 18 years old with 12-year-olds, and you've watched 6 years of watching other people graduate, and you're still sitting in the same position. That's a position of suffering, because you should have left 6 years ago. But to that class that's coming in to meet you there, that they're not struggling, because that's the lesson that they're ready to, it's a new lesson for them. It's an old lesson for you, you know? So that's kind of what it is for advanced beings, sometimes being on this planet and going through these things. It hurts us so much because we're so far past this, right? This is why many people will never get how much it affects you. They won't get it. And they're not bothered by the mind control. They're not bothered by the media and all. They don't see what you're talking about. And no amount of talking to them is going to help them any more than if you show up in that 7th grade class as an astrophysicist and try to teach them in a class what astrophysics is. You know, like you might be able to, they might walk away with a few little details, but they're not going to be at your level, and it might not interest them to pursue it. You get what I'm saying? So when you're talking to people of a lower consciousness about these things, you may as well be an astrophysicist showing up to a, you know, even worse than 7th grade, because 7th grade might have some interest. There might be some 7th graders in there, you know, like you might get through to them. Have an astrophysicist go and show up to a bunch of 3-year-olds. You get what I'm saying? They don't have the ability yet to connect with that higher level of information, right? Because their souls have not graduated. So this is the importance of also everyone going back to where they belong. In other words, lower consciousness beings who are here to learn a specific lesson belong together. They can help one another. They can encourage one another. You put someone who's already graduated millennia ago from these lessons, it's going to harm them. They're not in the right place frequentially. The false matrix wanted us all together in a big hodgepodge of chaos, where beings of different frequencies were all congregating together, and then they told us to make it work. And it didn't work because there's going to be interference and confusion, because we're not on the same frequential level. We're not on the same emotional level. We're not on the same mental level, but really emotional level. Okay, so there's something about this full moon in Aquarius that is breaking the mind control that has kept us limited. Okay, so alchemy, this is kind of what's happening. The Temperance card, like I said, it's a card of Sagittarius. This is the alchemy card in this deck. The Temperance card, Sagittarius energy. I spoke about Aries and Leo. The fire signs are here to bring God back onto earth through light, through the codes, through the light codes from source. Okay, so like I said, Aries is here to bring back the divine mind. Leo is here to bring back the divine heart. Sagittarius is here so we can walk that shit out on the earth. Okay, so Sagittarius energy is connected to, if you know, a lot of readers will say earth angel energy, temperance, and that's also, you see that in how Sagittarius breaks down, its wording breaks down in Gematria to 144. So Sagittarius as a word carries the 144 frequency. Okay, so Sagittarius is the sign through which we glean the wisdom. Whether you are a Sagittarius or not, it doesn't matter. You still are here to learn through the sign, and you are still, it still is a part of you. It's still in you. Sagittarius energy is still in you, even if it's not pronounced. Sagittarius is here to help us learn how to walk as multi-dimensional infinite beings on the earth plane. So this is what we are alchemizing at a higher level through this full moon. And be aware that the higher the possibility that opens for you to return to another aspect of your divine purpose and truth and your destiny, the more the shadow energies come around. And when I say the shadow energies, yes, the shadow energies that belong to other people, but most importantly, the more your shadow is going to pipe up. And your shadow has many different dimensions. So like I said, tomorrow in my group, we're going to be talking about anger. But one part of your shadow is fear. Okay, so fear is a very real part of your shadow. It's there for a reason. Fear also creates boundaries. Fear protects you. Fear helps you to know where to go and where not to go. Right? So fear is an important part of your reality. It's just that it's been used against you. It's been exploited to try to pull you into a lower state of being, because fear-based beings are operate at a lower consciousness. Okay? You are, if you are vibing with my work, you are a love-based being. Okay? Fear-based beings tend to be very connected with survival, instinctive. Their focus is survival. It's day to day, hustle, hustle. Fear-based beings, survival-based. Love-based beings are not run off of fear of what's gonna happen tomorrow, yada yada yada. Love-based beings are secure in themselves, their divinity, and the fact that they are always provided for. And this is what we are returning to. That's the truth. We've been programmed into fear-based consciousness, and the reason why it harmed us so much is because we are not fear-based beings. For fear-based beings to operate at that level, it's okay. Again, they don't struggle, they don't suffer, because that's where they are at their point of evolution. And of course, through the proper soul lessons, they have the ability to evolve and ascend into love-based beings also. Okay? But we are love-based beings. We're not supposed to be stuck in fear. And yet, fear is a frequency that we visit and that we even implement because it's here to protect our boundaries. In other words, sometimes you've got to put the fear of God into habitual line crossers. Those beings who you've done told time and time again to leave you the fuck alone, and they don't want to stop with their constant pushing. You got to raise your voice. You got to put some bass in your voice. You got to remind them that as much love and light you have, you also have a shadow that protects that. And when they try to push their way into your beauty and your power, and you've told them, leave me alone, you don't get to access that part of me right now, and they still want to push, then you've got to make them a little bit afraid to try it again. Okay? So again, that frequency is a protection for you against beings that would seek to harvest you, but it's also a way for you to know where it is you shouldn't go. For example, where it is that you'd be open to being harvested. And truth of the matter is, you don't need to be afraid of anywhere you go when you are protected and truly in yourself, but that doesn't mean that you should just go anywhere. It's like the best example I can think is you could be an MMA fighter. You could be like, know how to kill a person with 3 moves. I don't know, something like that, right? But just because you know how to do that doesn't mean that you, at 3 in the morning, you go into the darkest alleyway with the highest crime rate and gang members because you know that you can protect yourself. You don't put yourself in those kinds of predicaments. That's stupid, right? So, The point is that when you get to that level of having called back your power and you're rooted in yourself, you can go anywhere, frequentially speaking, and not be afraid, but it doesn't mean that you should. Okay? And understand and overstand what I mean when I say you can go anywhere. You travel through your emotions. And this is why they had to always destabilize you emotionally, traumatize you in the false matrix to get you in a lower timeline so they could feed off of you. They need you trapped in fear, guilt, and shame, trapped, so that they need you trapped in guilt. They need you trapped in shame. They need you trapped in fear in order to feed. Okay? So you travel through emotions. So I've shown you like the vibrational scale. I have it again this week because I'm back. Hold on. I'm in transition out of this space. Anyway, this is the vibrational scale. And it shows you emotions and their corresponding vibration. So shame is the lowest. And you can see it's aligned with the root chakra. It's the most constricted energy. It's the tightest, most compacted, heaviest energy on the scale. And the lightest is enlightenment, or pure knowledge of self, you could say. And that comes after love, joy, peace, comes full acceptance and knowledge of self. And that comes through the full integration of everything that you are. Shame is all about self-rejection and self-betrayal. Enlightenment is about full self-acceptance. So every single emotion that is being shown here connects you to, you could say it connects you to a realm, it connects you to a dimension, whatever wording you'd want to think about. So there are shame-based dimensions, shame-based realms, and there are shame-based beings that live within the confines of that energy. They can't really get out of that because they have to do the requisite lesson to rise somewhere higher. The only way they can get out of that position without doing the soul lesson is by hitching a ride on a being who has a higher resonance. So maybe you're a being who has graduated to love, you're a love-based being, and the only way a shame-based being can enter into your realm or your dimension in the false matrix, specifically this is what they did, the only way they could do that was by dragging you into their reality and switching realities. So in other words, pulling you down into shame, making sure you're locked in shame so that they can therefore ride your love-based reality, but they still ride your love-based reality with the consciousness, the lower consciousness they have, so they don't actually know how to do it efficiently. Are you leaving? Are you coming around? Okay. So they don't even know how to do it efficiently. Alrighty, so the importance, the significance of Cancer, Leo, and Virgo season is to help you remember who you are on this scale. The recalibration of your waters, the recalibration of your emotions help you to use emotional energy to take you back to where you're supposed to be and not to fall into the lower timelines that you're not supposed to be, where other beings can do the whole switcheroo. This is why so many of us, in order for them to harvest, those of you who dealt with doppelganger energy, the society's factions, corporations, groups, covens that were constantly coming for you in order to lower your frequency, and they did all manner of things. All manner of things. Y'all know, especially those of you who've been hanging out with me for a while, talked about this ad nauseum in so many videos, the things that I was picking up on that these beings were doing, the things that I lived through that these beings were doing. You get what I'm saying? So the whole point is to fuck with your frequency, is to fuck with your vibration. Okay? So they always need you in the root. They always need you in the red. They tell you this. They need you in the red. They need you, in other words, thinking that you're indebted to them. You need something outside of yourself to survive. And here they are going to supply you with it, right? They give you the sickness and come with the cure. Except it's not really a cure. It's more poison to make you sick longer without your knowing. It gives you a temporary boost before it makes you even sicker. Think chemo. Temporarily removes something until it causes it to come back worse a lot of the time. Right? So, unless you, of course, do lifestyle changes and all that, but it's a whole other thing. The whole point was to get you into a lower vibration, lower frequency way of existing, get you trapped in shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, constantly wanting to move forward but not being able to, so that these other beings that ultimately this is their true reality, they truly are fear-based being, grief-based being, guilt-based being, shame-based being, could take your energy and live realities that connect them to that level of consciousness, having not earned it. Okay? So this is why so many of these beings who lived, they had a lot of material resources on this earth plane. That's what they needed to do. Because the truth of the matter is, the beings who have the most divine resources are the ones who have the most emotional capacity. And what that means is that you are able to ride this chart with ease to get to where you need to go. And the only reason you can ride it with ease is because you're sitting at the top in enlightenment, knowing who you are, having gotten there because you've learned all the lessons below. You've learned what it is to alchemize shame, because once upon a time, maybe you were a shame-based being. Okay? There are levels to this. Some of us graduated through every level. Everyone's evolution and how they got here, it's going to be different. But many beings, the reason why you're able to alchemize it with ease, and you might not even be aware of it, you're sitting down stuck in shame, not realizing that you have your own keys because you've finished alchemizing and graduating from this lesson 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, and you already have reached the point of being a love-based being, which many beings who enter into this planes, you are love-based beings who enter, and they want you here so they can siphon your energy and continue to pull the planet down into their reality and then live off of your life force. Because once upon a time, the earth was in a higher dimension, and they keep on pulling it down. And now we're here lifting it up. But anyway, that's a whole other story. Cancer, Leo, and Virgo teach you how to recalibrate your emotional field so you learn how to travel again. You travel through the waters, you travel through the emotions, which is why when you want to create something, you must combine the thought with how you feel in order to birth whatever it is that the emotion is pulling forth. So remember, I said to you right now, many of us have been going through like this vortex of chaos. And where we land is fully dependent upon where we allow this energy to pull us emotionally. So if we get pulled into fear, into shame, into guilt, we will produce more timelines where we have to alchemize that energy that we created through our own emotions. If we rise and realize, oh, this is a test, and you rise into hope, that then opens the door to the faith, that then returns you to love, where you remember who the fuck you are, that you're infinite, you're multidimensional, and there's nothing outside of you that actually is more powerful over your reality than you, and there's nothing that can ever enter into your fields that has more command or control over you than you, unless you consent to it. When you begin to, combat that energy that wants to take you out of your reality and pull you down into something that you're not, when you're able to do that, then you will find that you open up timelines that align with that faith, that hope, and that love. Right? So even this vibrational scale, when you look at it, it kind of resembles a vortex. It shows you. It shows you how energy flows, how timelines work. Timelines work by, it's kind of like what they're showing me right now. Did you guys ever used to play that game as, like, that party game as a child? What was it called? It was like musical chairs or something. Where every child would start with a chair. You'd be sitting down and they'd play the music and everyone had to get up. You have to get up and you have to dance and you have to move around and they'll move a chair. And then every single time the music stops, you all have to run and find a chair. And they're the kids who like hover around the same chair. They don't want to move. And then they get pushed by an adult. You can't do that. You've got to move around. And oftentimes they are the kids who will lose a chair because they're so fearfully searching for somewhere to sit. They're waiting for the music to stop, that they're not just enjoying the dancing. Most of the kids, if you ever observe those kids who play that game, the ones who will almost always get the chair are the ones who are just having fun. The ones who are cautiously waiting for the music to stop to get a chair are often the ones who aren't going to make it through to the end. But anyway, the point is that timeline shifts, especially through the collective vortex of chaos that we're in right now. It's like musical chairs. So if you want to get a seat at your own table, right? You want to get your own seat back. Then you've got to dance and you've got to just go with the flow of the moment and not get caught up in the fear of thinking you're going to miss something. Okay, and I know that's sometimes easier said than done, and that's when you have to literally sit down and combat that shit with truth. I'm going to share with you, I think I shared this with my Substack group, my Substack community, in the Word for Your Week message. I do a Word for Your Week every week where I do a poll and I do an audio or a video message sharing the energies of the week and what it is that we're here to alchemize through the cards. And I was sharing with them an experience I'd had, and it was very much like this. I was pulled into a vortex of chaos where there was a lot of timeline convergence a few days ago, and I kind of knew what I was doing because I purposely did something to push that forward, meaning that I decided not to take a road that was familiar. I decided to push the envelope. I decided I'm done with the old timeline. I'm ready for this new one. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to take a leap to show that I am. And that's what we have to do. And every time you do that, you are consenting to enter into the vortex of chaos. So you need to know that. In other words, you are entering into a period of towers. And you need to know that so that you know how to ride the storm. Okay? And I also said to you guys in the live, I said, be aware that every time the moon moves through Scorpio until the new moon in Scorpio, it will be an intense time of testing. As well as every time the moon moves through Libra until the new moon in Libra, it will also be initiating that time of testing. Okay, so I'm going to remind you, I'm going to put it out there again, because when I was going through this, and I'm not thinking all of this at the time, but when I was going through this, the moon, of course, was where? In Scorpio. Okay? And so it was such a mind fuck when I entered into that vortex, and I knew what I was doing. Like I said, but it was still such a mind fuck that I literally got a notebook and I started to write down every single fear that was coming up. These are the fears that are coming up right now. This is how I feel, and this is not me. These fears don't belong to me because I'm not a fear-based being. So this fear, I'll write down the first fear. This is what this energy wants me to fear. It wants me to believe that yada, 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 yada. That's what it wants me to believe. However, and I'm writing all this down now, however, this is not my consciousness because I am a divine, multidimensional, infinite being. I'm also a love-based being, so there is no way that this is actually my true story, my consciousness. This is me letting go of consciousnesses that have infiltrated into my reality. This is my truth. As a divine being, this is what I deserve. This is what I'm supposed to have. This is what I'm calling in. And I therefore do not consent to this old story that should have never been mine to begin with. Literally. Sat down and had to do that. It's a great exercise. I highly recommend it because it helps you it helps to ground you because the act of thinking something through and speaking it is one thing. The act of taking a pen and paper and writing it out, there's something very grounding about that too. Maybe not for everyone. I'm highly mercurial and all that stuff, so maybe for me even more so. But that's what I did. I sat down, I wrote it in a notebook. This is the fear that's coming up. I'm not a fear-based being. This isn't my fear. Therefore, the truth of who I am is this. And by the time I was done, that shit had broken. Okay? So know that right now, in this vortex of chaos that you might have traveled through recently, you probably will be pulled through again. In all frankness, because every time right now you decide that you're ready for a higher timeline and you want to jump over many timelines to get there, then every single fear that kept you from that timeline is going to surface. And you can either succumb to that fear, take ownership of that fear as if it's yours, or you can look that fear in the eye and say, wait a hot fucking minute, you've been running my show and you ain't even me. It's time for you to leave. This is your stop. This is where you get off. Hasta la vista, baby. Okay? And you get rid of it. You get rid of it. Okay? So, I don't even know how that happened. I guess I was shuffling before because I have the Ten of Chalices showing up here, which of course is the Ten of Cups. And the Ten of Cups is that energy that you must get to emotionally to birth the Ten of Pentacles. You cannot get the Ten of Pentacles without going to the Ten of Cups. You cannot get the Nine of Pentacles until arriving at the Nine of Cups. This is, again, the tarot showing you that it's all about your emotional field and your emotional body. You travel to new realities through your emotions. This is why in the false matrix they wanted you adhering all your energy to the mental. Everything that allowed you to ascend in their fake economies, their fake structures, systems, institutions to become something in this false matrix was based upon mental energy, how smart you are, what degree you can have. They did that on purpose because that is an inversion of who you actually are, the way you actually travel and get your resources back that are worth more than money and that they needed to turn into money in order to create a fake currency system to again dupe you and dupe me. Money has no worth. It's just a trading in for what actually has worth, which is your life force that goes up and down in accordance with how you're able to hold a frequency. So, you travel through your emotions, you timeline jump, you get to where you're supposed to be through emotions, not through your mind. Okay, your mind and your heart work together to help you to travel, absolutely. But what gets you to the final destination is where you allow your emotions to take your thoughts. Your emotions, you can have one thought and your emotions can take that thought anywhere. Your thought is like the boat. The emotions are like the water. Okay? And you are the one steering the boat through the waters. Okay, to get you where you're going. If you get on the waters and you're in a boat and those waters start to go everywhere and you don't know how to steer that boat's just going to go wherever the water takes it. But if you're a skilled sailor and you know how to, move through the waters, then you can get to where you're going even in a storm. They knew this. These beings know what they're talking about. They're just laughing at us all the way to their fucking energy banks. Maritime law, currency, all of it. They know that you are a being you're a water-based being. You are an emotionally based being. You connect through the waters. At least you do if you are a high frequency. But all of us, even lower consciousness, everything it moves to get to one place to the other, interdimensionally, one reality to another. It's through the waters, which is why they locked the waters on this earth plane. They locked them. And not just in terms of how they controlled the waters and our access to them and what we can do in them, but also in terms of how they tried to block the waters of the earth from the waters that unite us in entirety to the cosmos through energy fuckery, through the messing with the grid system very specifically, the messing with the Cancerian energy. Okay, so Cancer is the first water sign on the zodiac wheel. Cancer is what begins our ability to travel. We learn through Cancer. But through the second quarter of the zodiac wheel, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo, all three signs are about helping us to learn how to connect with our emotions, drive our emotions, balance our emotions to get to where we need to be. And then by the time we go to Scorpio, we go deep. We get to deep dive. So Cancer is that energy that just kind of like throws you into the water, learn how to swim. Scorpio is now, it's time to be a scuba diver. And by the time you get to Pisces, you can do it all. You can do it all. You're the 10 of Cups, right? So we have the strength, but it's coming out in reverse. Okay, this is the challenge spot that's coming through. And at the bottom, we have the Chariot, okay? So this is the challenge, exactly what I've been speaking about. This ability to rise into your heart. The Strength card is Leo energy. The Chariot is Cancer energy. The Strength card is what allows you to rise into the fullness of your heart, to take the chances, to be brave and courageous enough to allow yourself to go where your heart is leading you, knowing that when you do that, you are protected. That's what the Strength card is. It helps you to do. Okay, so it's not a time to be timid. If you want to go far right now in terms of timeline jumping, then you're going to have to take chances that make you feel uncomfortable. And they make you feel uncomfortable, and I'm not saying to do something that's going to put you in danger. I'm saying to make calculated risks, to push yourself out of your comfort zone, because if you don't want to be in the same timeline, then you've got to stop being comfortable in it. 10 of Flames is at the bottom here. It's a 10 of Wands. That again is about busting out of an old spiritual story, is really what it is. The 10 of Flames. Sagittarius energy. We have Indigo. This is the Magician card in the tarot. Indigo. So this is the guidance position. Indigo. Violet Flame energy too. I'm getting Sage of Orbs. This is the Queen of Swords. This is a card of justice. Okay, so guidance position, Magician. And then at the bottom we have Starseed, which is the Fool. Okay, so this is how you arrive back into your ability to bring your true cosmological origin back on the earth planes. You see that star falling onto the earth? It's time to return in the fullness of who you are here on the earth planes, or at least maybe not the fullness, but it's time to bring more of your higher aspects back onto the earth planes through this window. It's time to actualize more of your cosmological truth on the earth. Okay? So guidance, indigo, magician, right? So this is all about understanding and overstanding your ability to utilize. You have all the tools. That's the magician, right? You have all the tools that you need to get to where you're going. This is about waking up and remembering, but not only waking up and remembering, because I think many of you have woken up and remembered at this point who you are. I think the problem is the confidence to wield that, the fear. There always is, we're all guilty of this, we're always waiting for a sign. We're waiting for a number. We're waiting for an angel. We're waiting for a message that tells us what we're doing is okay. But here's the thing, you don't need anybody or anything else to tell you that something that you're doing is okay. And when you actually start to seek externally for something to tell you what to do, you once again are giving your power away and moving outside of yourself. There's nothing wrong with taking the leap and then wanting confirmation. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're waiting for something outside of yourself to give you any kind of, to tell you how to move, that's where you're going to get in trouble. And I tell you this as a being who had to learn that, like, to put that into practice with the choice I made this past weekend. I had to make a choice to do something that made me very uncomfortable, but I knew it was either that or wait on someone else to tell me what they were doing and to put myself in the position of having to wait on them. And I wasn't going to do that anymore, because every time I did that, I gave my power away before. And so I'd rather put myself in an uncomfortable position and bust out of many fear-based programming around certain things, including my relationship with them, the false security I'd gotten from actually waiting on them to tell me things, right? Because we got to take full responsibility for where we're complicit in our own abusive cycles also, right? So I had to make the decision. I'm not waiting on anyone. I'm going to make a choice based upon my own intuition and based upon what I feel is the thing that's going to make me feel safe in myself, even if temporarily it rocks my boat. And I did that, right? And in doing that, I alchemized a whole bunch of fears. Okay, so this knowing that when you, no matter what the decision is, or even if the decision turns out to be not even the best decision, you must know that in all situations you are always protected for as long as the decision you're making is based upon you honoring your truth. Okay, so sometimes we have to make decisions that will put us temporarily in a situation that doesn't feel comfortable, right? But being in that situation that isn't as comfortable is actually better than going backwards, if that makes sense. And it will always just be temporary. And even in that discomfort, we are protected. I hope that makes sense. If you were in my group on Wednesday, we talked about this a lot. This was an energy that was coming up for some of you over the past few days, and we broke it down because this is where we are. We are learning again how to trust ourselves. We are learning how to drive our chariots. We are learning how to take back any authority we've given to other beings to man our consciousness or to command how we move in any way, shape, or form, because that is the only way that we will ever be able to become properly sovereign again. We cannot put we cannot give any being the right to drive us anymore. The right to make to tell us what it is that they're going to do in order that we then make a decision to acquiesce with. We're not doing that anymore. We are making a decision based upon the facts that we already have, what we know about ourselves and who we know we are. We're trusting that when we do that, we can make the right decision for ourselves. We're trusting that maybe it will make us a little bit uncomfortable because we'll be entering territory that we haven't gone into before, and that we're trusting that in that we're going to be pushed higher into our multidimensional truth, and we're going to reach the timeline that honors that level of sovereignty and personal responsibility and authority, that then gives us back what it is we've lost. You see, many people want to get back their resources and their life force, but if you don't know how to use it because you haven't wielded proper authority and sovereignty and responsibility over self, then you will get it and give it away again. Or you will get it and it will be taken away from you with ease. So part of getting back your life force properly, your resources properly, is learning how to wield that sense of personal authority, responsibility, and sovereignty in everything you do, and to learn how to do it without fear. So when you make a decision from fear, here's another very interesting thing. When you make a decision from fear and anxiety, even when you're making that decision to honor yourself, if its foundation was fearful, then what you're going to enter into that experience, you're going to have to alchemize the fear that you allowed to grow until you made that decision too. In other words, we're being shown right now, if you have eyes to see, right? And not just that one, all of the eyes in your energy field. Some of us got thousands of eyes. If you have eyes to see, then you're being shown everything you're creating based upon everything you're feeling. You're being shown, and you always were. We always were, but now we're honing in on that lesson all the more so that we can really tune into the power of our emotions to drive us to where it is we need to be or we want to be. Okay, so when I look at these cards, the indigo, which is the magician in the traditional tarot, and the sage of orbs, I'm also seeing our capacity right now to bring justice back into our own realities by way of the remembrance of how to utilize all of our tools and how to travel through the waters and how to use our emotions to drive us. And here's another thing that was coming through. Some of you are getting your wings back. Some of you are getting your wings back. I saw it. What's today? Today's Friday. I saw it on Wednesday night. I saw dragon wings being born. Dragon wings, very specifically. I saw the grids for many of you no longer, the old world grids no longer being an issue. So the message I heard very specifically was we got complete control back of the grids. That's what came through, and it wouldn't let me sleep. I was tired, I went to bed, and all of a sudden, poof, download, like seeing all of this, right? And I am a seer, but I'm not, a clairvoyant. Clairvoyance is not my main clair. So when I get those kinds of whoosh, hits, they always have more of an impact on me than the way I normally download things. So that imagery and that message really impacted me. So we've got control of the grids. And sure enough, the daily alchemy message the next morning was, I think it began with, you've stepped into a new era. And I wrote that daily alchemy message weeks ago. The daily alchemy messages I started writing ahead of time. So, I do a card pull for everyone, and then I just channel what's coming through for the daily alchemy messages. For sunrise salutation, I write it in the moment on the day, right? But it was just so cool because I normally don't operate like that. It was Gimme Peachel of the Starfire Codes that really inspired me to begin to kind of start writing energy reports ahead and seeing still how much it was in sync, right? So that was amazing to wake up on Thursday and because I'd already pre-posted it on YouTube, and to wake up and to post it onto my Substack and be like, and you've stepped into a new era. I'm like, damn right we have. Damn right I have. I saw it. I saw it. So for those of you who stepped into that vortex of chaos and handled it like a champ, and even through your fears, because the fears come to shake you, the fears come to be all up in your head, to try to get you, to consent to following a consciousness that isn't yours, to pull you into a lower emotion so that you manifest the timeline and the emotional energy that they need to feed. Because that's really what it is. Remember, this is all about energy harvesting. The reason these consciousnesses want you manifesting fear-based timelines is because they need to feed off of that in order to keep their realities going. These are the parasitic energies that run the false matrix. We spoke about them on Saturday, right? So parasites will have you doing all manner of things that you think it's you, but it's not. You think you have a sugar addiction, you don't. But those little yeasty things in your guts and parasites are like, feed me sugar, feed me sugar. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I need sugar. 4 p.m., I'm going to take this bitch's blood sugar down so she could give me more sugar. You get what I'm saying? And here you are thinking, oh, I'm so bad. I have such an issue with sugar. It runs in my family, yada, yada, yada. No, them parasites have been jumping with you, with every generation, and growing, like getting fat off of your misery and your sickness. Because that's what parasites do. And they keep you wanting the very thing that you know is bad for you, but you feel helpless. Okay? And this is like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And when you begin to shift the narrative into the truth and you realize, hold on one hot minute, I don't want sugar. Okay, I see now. There's this energy, this entity that is trying to run what it is I put in my mouth that is actually making me sick. And all I actually have to do, I don't have to sit down and become this person who denies myself of everything. All I got to do is eliminate the sucker. That's what I've got to do. And yeah, maybe you do have to give up sugar, maybe you don't. What I do know is the minute that you start to do the work to fight against that energy, that entity in your body, is the minute you won't want it anymore anyway. And when you start to crave it, you'll be like, oh, okay, you coming back for round 2, round 3, because these things they're resilient. They're resilient. They have evolved. They have learned how to burrow themselves. They are smart. And so you got to be stronger. Strength card. Got to be stronger than those energies, because it's your home, it's your house. Your body is your house, right? Cancer energy is your house. This is what the Cancer energy is reminding you. Everything has been about these parasitic invasions on all planes. In the emotional fields, mental fields, and in your physical fields. In your body, in the beings that have wanted to energy harvest you. It's all parasitic energies that have kept this false matrix running and alive and eating off of us. Okay, so this period of time, especially as we move into the full moon, you are learning emotional mastery, which is why the Master of Chalices was coming up to begin with. And emotional mastery is what opens the door to material mastery. There's no such thing as learning material mastery. until it begins to unfold for you. What do I mean by that? When everything is in rightful divine order, when you are connecting with who you are, your true spiritual story, and you're no longer connecting your mental and your emotional energies to the spells and to the false stories that other beings have created and needed for you to connect with etherically and astrally so that you manifest the fake reality for the purposes that they have, whether it's for these parasites or whether it's because they want to see you suffering and in despair. It doesn't really matter. When you no longer are allowing your mental and your emotional energies to bring forth those lies, then you begin to manifest on earth your true destiny. When you reconnect with the truth of who you are cosmologically, and you refuse to allow your mind to align with anything or any consciousness that takes you out of that truth, and you tame your emotions also to respond properly to that truth, and to no longer be triggered by the old story because it's not even yours. And when you get rid of those energies and entities that have been invading your waters, to try to get your ship to sail somewhere where it doesn't belong, to try to get you stuck in lower timelines and realities so that they can cruise and be in places they're not supposed to be, when you are able to man the air and the water, your mind and your heart, and use your emotions to take you where you're supposed to go, because now you are so in balance on all planes. Spiritually, you're in check. You're back in alignment with your true spiritual story. Mentally, you're not taking bullshit from anything that tries to pull you out of that. Emotionally, you're not allowing yourself to just follow anything that takes you anywhere, emotionally speaking. Then you will have, the material has to obey the above. As above, so below. Whatever is going on in the spiritual, mental, and emotional planes, the material will reflect that and obey it. It's as simple as that. So when you have everything in order, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, the material planes have to begin to bring that forth also. So what do I mean by that? The Master of Cups, the mastering of water, that's the final element. When you become the Master of Wands, the King of Wands, then you have gotten your spiritual story back. When you enter into the King of Swords, the Master of Orbs in this deck, then you have gotten control back over your airspace, over your mental body. When you have when you get the Master of Chalices, the King of Cups, you have now mastered your waters, and therefore now nothing can dock in your waters that's not supposed to dock, and you cannot birth things on behalf of those other energies that were trying to use your waters to birth realities that put you in the red, that made you indebted, when truly they are the ones who are debtors. The fear-based lower consciousness beings are in debt to you if they want to come on a ride with you. If they want to enter into those, they must pay the passage. They must pay it through the lessons, the soul lessons that they must learn to evolve. There's a fee to get to where it is you already have been. And here you are thinking that you're indebted to something that actually is just using you, putting you in debt, flipping the narrative and making you think that you're indebted. You're not. It's the other way around. I was just writing about this on Substack in my Sunrise Salutations this morning about how the narcissistic templates of the false matrix were designed to work like any narcissistic abusive relationship. In a narcissistic abusive dynamic, or even in any kind of very serious abuse, the abuser will always try to make the victim or the target believe that they are doing the thing that the abuser is doing. So, for example, they will try to they will strip you of your confidence by telling you that you're a slut, for example, when they're out there being promiscuous. So they're taking the shame from what it is that they're actually doing, and they're making you a container for it, and you're believing it about yourself and owning a story that doesn't belong to you. And for as long as you're owning that story, you're giving the abuser the right to have power over you and to live in ways that if you take your energy back, they'd be fucked, especially with narcissism. Because narcissists feed off of getting supply by getting you to lower your frequency by feeding you lies. So they tell you you're worthless. They play with you emotionally. And the minute they know that they've taken it too far and you're out the door is the minute they'll try to hoover you back in by trying to build you up again. They'll build you up again, be nice to you until they get you back onto the hook, so that they can then drop you again and feed off of your fear, feed off of your despair, feed off of your suffering. And they keep on doing it again. And the whole time, especially if you've been in a narcissistic family dynamic like myself, where that's all you knew, that's all you've known, and that took you into other situations in life until you began to see. And for some of us, it takes forever. And for some people, they never wake up out of it. Because how do you wake up out of something that you were literally birthed and rooted into? It's really tough. Cooks, your phone. Sorry. How do you begin to do that? So, I'm doing a reading. Can you come get your phone, please? It's very distracting. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you get it for her, please? Thank you. No, it's okay. I thought it was you. Okay, so what I was writing about today on Substack is that these abusive dynamics are designed to make you feel like you need the abuser. That's what a good abuser will do, will always try to flip the script to make you believe that you need them, that you are indebted to them, when really it's the other way around. They are constantly fucking with your energy in order to feed. Okay? So it's the same thing that we are breaking out of with these narcissistic templates in the false matrix, where everything was inverted in order to energy harvest off of us and have us thinking that we were the ones in debt. We were the ones in the red. We were the ones that needed these other beings in order to move forward in life. We needed their institutions. We needed their systems. We needed their leadership. We needed their banks. We needed whatever from them. We couldn't make it on our own. We're so helpless when you're the motherfucking magician. Okay? When you are able to birth your reality through your emotions, through balancing yourself on all planes. So a lot of interruptions tonight, which again shows me what's happening. I'm not too bothered by it. But when you have that kind of energy, just so you know, that like constant interrupting things happening like that, it's just showing you all of the attempts to try and distract, it's more than distraction, it's to try and pull you out of your I amness into another, under the command of another consciousness. When that confusion, energy, that interference happens, it can come through anything. It can come through people, it can come through you, it can come through your devices. It doesn't really matter how it comes through. You just need to know that that's what's happening. And it's actually a good thing. It means that things are shifting and they're uncomfortable. Okay, so that's another thing you should know. Things are shifting and they're uncomfortable, so they have to shift. Okay, and don't let it make you uncomfortable. Rejoice in it. Rejoice in it and clap and say, okay, it's time for you to go. Eviction day is here. Okay, so I'm going to try to edit some of this stuff out. So if it seems a little bit choppy, that's why. It's because there were different interruptions throughout tonight, which is okay. Maybe it's not as bad as it feels as I was channeling it. It always feels different than when I watch it back. So anyway, Such is life. I feel like I still want to get another card before I leave. I feel like because we started off on the moon, we're going to go into the moonology. Adjustments are required. Third quarter moon, and I think that's actually even where we are with the moon right now. We're in the waxing phase. I would guess that because it's going to be in Aquarius on Monday at 6 something in the evening at 27 degrees, I would say that either right now, because I don't know, I don't have the chart in front of me, either it's in Capricorn or it's in the final degrees of Sagittarius. Okay, so third quarter moon, that again is showing you as it waxes through Sagittarius and Capricorn, divine realities are materializing more on the earth planes, material contracts. Also, I think this might be the first time the moon has entered Capricorn since the last full moon, which will be another reason why things are shaky right now. So pay attention. This was a message that came through on Wednesday also. Go back to what was happening for you in the final decan of Cancer season, especially around that second full moon in Capricorn. Also, go back to what was happening for you in February. I think it was the first week of February for the new moon in Aquarius. And I would go back even farther. I would go back to the end of January with the full moon in Leo. Check out the themes that were occurring around the full moon in Leo at the end of January, the new moon in Aquarius, because right now, as you move more through the closing out of Leo season towards a full moon in Aquarius, there's something wrapping up very specifically about the themes that were coming up in your reality at that time specifically. Okay, so what came out is new moon eclipse. Expect powerful change. Okay, the next new moon eclipse is going to be new moon in Libra. I think it's a new moon in Libra. I know we have a full moon eclipse in Pisces. I do think it's a new moon because the new moon in Virgo is not an eclipse, so it's a new moon in Libra. Okay, so that again would explain partly why I was getting that message about paying attention to the moons as they move through Libra, as they come up to the new moon, as well as the moons in Scorpio. Okay, so, which I mean technically you should do every month anyway. It will help you to tune better into the cycles that you're going through and how to break out of them. You can't break out of what you can't see. So the more you hone in on how these energies are showing you, because that's what astrology, the zodiac wheel, is showing you. It's bringing you its medicine to make you whole. And every time it brings you its medicine, it is actually showing you where you need the medicine. So it's the medicine that actually heals, as opposed to the poison that gives you the disease and comes and tells you, oh, I got the cure. No, the zodiac wheel, as it moves through different energies, every zodiac sign has medicine for you. Okay, so new moon eclipse, expect powerful change, adjustments are required. This again is showing me that there are big changes on the horizon for as long as you know how to properly adjust yourself. And this is also a bit of hope. Okay, so as I say that, I see step out of your comfort zone. I just said that. You have to step out of your comfort zone. You have to let shit get a little bit shaky. And you have to, even if your original response to the shakiness is to fall into fear, it doesn't matter how you start, it matters how you finish. Okay, so this is what the third quarter moon energy is about to. my camera just did the same thing. So if it's tracking is off, I apologize. Anyway, adjustments are required. So this is what the third quarter moon is about also. You are able to still shift. It doesn't matter how you start, it matters how you finish. So you are always able to adjust the mindset, adjust the emotions and the frequency to bring forth what it is you want to, or to get back into alignment with the timeline that you are targeting, focused on right now. Okay, and the more you're able to do this, another thing that's coming through, the more you're able to do this, the more you're alchemizing the timeline fuckery that's been occurring on the earth in general. So everything has been designed to keep us all in timelines that we didn't belong in. High frequency beings, you've been put in lower timelines that you shouldn't have been in. Lower consciousness beings who haven't done the work have been being purposely placed in higher timelines that they don't actually have the frequency, the frequential wealth to hold, hence the reason why they needed the sacrifice system of the false matrix to maintain that position. And now it's time for all timelines to collapse, and so we can all find where we are. And that was a message that was coming through. I remember now in January and February, around the full moon in Leo, the new moon in Aquarius, a lot of that was happening. All of the timelines were collapsing, is what it felt like at the time. All the timelines were collapsing, okay? And we've been timeline surfing since then in different ways. And now it feels like it's coming to a head again. So, yeah, think about where you were in the midst of all of that. And my Throwback Thursday post yesterday on Substack, I released the Tarot astrology for February that I put out. So in February, I did a Tarot astrology for all the signs. So from Capricorn to Aquarius, I did a message for each sign, a written message. And I republished that yesterday in the Throwback Thursday, and that is an article that's open to everybody. So if you want to check that out, I'll try to remember to put the link in the description box below. Check out all your major placements, see if what was coming through at that time aligns with what you were going through, and you will see how 6 months later something about that energy is coming back, or you're closing it out, or you are graduating into the original timeline possibilities it was opening you up into. Okay, I feel better now. Whew. But I still feel like I should get a dragon card. Tonight this is really long. And that's partly because of the interruptions, the interference, which is very... It's mercurial, yes, you could say Mercury retrograding, but you could also say Mars in Gemini, and full moon in Aquarius at a Gemini degree, you know, so it's all good, it's all good. Let's get a dragon message, please. A dragon message, since we got control back of the grids. Just one card, please, a dragon message. What dragon consciousness wants to come through? I fucking love it. Alpha Dragon harnesses the divine masculine power of creation. Destroy the old, visualize your dream, help to manifest a new world. So this is the beginning of everything that must first be born out of chaos. But the masculine principle of creativity is the energy that goes into the chaos, quote unquote, the void energy, that the feminine, the womb, and adds the seed that begins to create the foundation that the feminine energy will nurture and grow. And we're in Leo season, so this is about planting new seeds. It's masculine energy based upon our ability to have tilled our emotional soil during Cancer season. Cancer season was about going deep into the foundational energies that make up our emotional reality and shaking them up to see what would come up and dealing with it, and then using the light of the sun through Leo to really discern and decipher, so that the seeds that we plant moving forward are what we actually want to harvest, right? So that's at the bottom what actually came out. Gold and silver violet flame, dragon, transmutes the old around you with wisdom and grace. This energy was coming up also with the indigo card, and I forgot to mention it, so thank you for reminding me. Working with the flames right now, whether you work with the violet flame, it seems to be coming up a lot right now, the violet flame, or other flame colors, in order to transmute things, reconnect with things, integrate things, bring back things, protect things. Working with the flames might be very, very powerful for you right now. Working with dragon energies, which also connect you to the flames, might be powerful too. It's time for transmutation, magic, and healing. Offer service under grace. Okay, so that's what I have for you guys. Speaking of offering service under grace, a quick reminder, my solar recall decree, solar energy recall decree, which is all about this bringing justice back into your fields, calling back the fullness of your life force. It is the newest decree I've added. I added it, I think, like 2 weeks ago now. It's still there, available for free or by donation, as well as all the decrees. For now, I'm keeping them all for free or by donation because I think that they're helping the collective, and I like how it's shaking shit up in the old world. And I like the empowerment. I like the way that it helps you guys to remember who you are and tune into truth. Okay, so even if you don't use them, you know, my words, even if you allow them to help remind you about what true universal laws are, and you start to write your own, which I will always say, it's more powerful because it's your creation. I encourage you to take my decrees, learn from them, use them to inspire you, and then create your own. Okay? Yes. Okay, so I'm sending you so much love. I look forward to seeing some of you tomorrow. Quick reminder, I do have my midweek group session happening, group check-in, live card pull with personal guidance. I'll have another one happening next Wednesday, the 21st, and then next Thursday, the 22nd, will be the final time I am hosting the small group Tarot astrology, where we look very specifically at both your sun and your moon. The contracts, the wounding, the resurrection is what I'm calling it, because we go into the contracts you have with your father or your paternal line through the sun, contracts you have with your mother, maternal line through the moon, as well as the wounds and the stories that kept pulling you back into the false matrix and keeping you stuck in karmic loops. It's very interwoven to your mother, but very specifically the lunar energy, your lunar placement. Okay, so I'm hosting that for the last time next Thursday, the 22nd of August. There are 7 spots available in full. I think there are 6 spots available as of now. So if you would like to join me for that tarot astrology, where I delve into your personal chart, your sun and your moon, to share with you the story of your sun and your moon, the contracts, the wounds, and most importantly, how you resurrect yourself out of all of that, then please make sure to sign up. All of my August events will be in the description box and the comment section below. I was going to say something else. A lot of intimidating energy right now, but it's all mental. I feel it, like, doesn't want people to speak, doesn't want to connect properly to the thoughts that are supposed to be there, wanting to cause interference. And this isn't just like the recording right now. This has been a theme I've been picking up on especially today, but just in general since Mars has been in Gemini, so be aware of that. You could say since Mercury retrograde, but no, it's been really Mars in Gemini, and also that Mars-Jupiter conjunction, shook shit up. So yes, 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 yes. So I think that's it. If you'd like to book me for a soul recovery session, those are, my summer rates are still going until the 22nd of September. And that is it. I'm sending you so much love. I will see you again soon. Take care.